Okay, this is the concluding video in my Philosophy of Time series, and I'm briefly going to touch on the arguments of presentism versus eternalism. Now, the arguments about eternalism are quite straightforward, so I'll just mention those briefly. The main concern is that the eternalist allows in a really vast ontology. He thinks that the past and present and future all exist. So what he holds to exist, or what we might say in technical terminology, his most unrestricted quantifiers range over a larger amount of ontological entities. So he has a huge thing in his reality. And in philosophy, we often use the principle of parsimony to reduce those entities which we want to be committed to. So the presentist has the advantage of ruling out the the past and the future if his theory is to be validated. But the criticisms against presentism are perhaps slightly less obvious. So let's consider two of those in detail. Well, one of those in detail. One of them I'm just going to talk about quickly again. General relativity is often thought to contradict presentism, even by a lot of the very well-read eternalists in the philosophy of time. They usually understand that general relativity denounces an ontological present, a specialness to now, because there's different nows going on at various times. However, I will just say the following. The mathematical, the scientific, the empirical, and the predictive virtues of general relativity do not inevitably lead to this conclusion. It's an additional metaphysical assumption that's implicit but not explicit in the theory of general relativity. And there is a very interesting article by a famous presentist called Crisp, who has got a very good work around this. And I don't think general relativity, despite first appearances, does refute presentism. So I don't think that the eternalists can use that. The main concern that I want to touch on about presentism is often called the grounding objection. Now, there are facts about the past. I think everyone would accept that. Everyone needs to accept that. I think you'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you said that there were no facts about the past. So, the problem is, if the past doesn't exist, then how can there be facts about it if it doesn't exist? There's a few ways to go around this objection, so let's consider each one of them in detail and discuss its virtues and its vices. Well, the first one could say is, facts about the past are grounded in the present. That's to say that there's a shape of the past in the present. The past caused the present, so what makes facts about the past true is the current state of events. I don't think that we can have this. The reason being is because it's possible, it's a contingent fact, that, say, the universe was created 5 minutes ago and it still looked like this, and it still was functionally equivalent, it still looked the same, it was exactly the same. So we can't conclude from the mere existence of the present, in whatever form it is, that any facts about the past are true, because there could have been, conceivably, a wide range of different possible pasts. So we can't go down that route. The other route that we could say is a very similar thing is that present objects instantiate properties, some second order properties which they inherit from the past. I think this is spooky ghost shit, so I'm going to ignore it. If you instantiate a second order property of the pastness, not only does it fall foul of the objection that I just raised, but you're committing to additional ontological entities. We're not entirely sure of these. I think that's something to be avoided. Now, we could also say something like, well, the past constitutes reality, but it doesn't exist. Now, some of you might also see the problem with this is, I don't want my reality to be consisted of non-existent entities. That seems to me not what my metaphysic should include. I think the objects of existence exhaust reality. So I'm going to deny that reality consists of non-existent objects. Now, my lecturer, actually, who is a presentist, atheist guy, has probably got one of the best responses to the grounding objection in presentism. I don't like it, but he seems to think it's brilliant, and he gets this cheeky little grin on his face when he tells us about it. So his general thought is this: what makes facts about the past true is that they were true, right? And like I said to him, I said something like, "What do you mean they were true? What is that grounded in?" And he's like, "Nope, they just were true. I'm not grounding was in anything. If you don't know what was, what was is, then I don't really know what more to tell you." So he has was as a primitive in his ontology. What makes the fact that Socrates was a man true is the fact that Socrates was a man. So was is kind of a primitive. I think that gets him out of the McTaggart objection as well. But of course, it all comes down to this intuition. Do we want to give up the notion that truth supervenes on being? So the paper that goes into this, written by my lecturer, is called "Ontological Cheats Might Just Prosper." He's aware that he's cheating. He says something like, maybe truth works in a few different ways. Maybe we can have truths about things that don't exist, like there is truths about the past even though it doesn't exist. Of course, this does deny that truth supervenes on being. Now, Pirro mentioned this before, but I don't think he quite got what I meant by truth supervenes on being. The converse of the sort of double negation of truth supervenes on being its logical equivalent, is there can't be truths about objects that don't exist. I think that there can't be truths about objects that don't exist, but if we want to be a presentist, I think one of the best ways out of this is to deny that and say that there can be truths about things that don't exist. So I think I'll conclude it there. There are a variety of other issues that I could have talked about, but I think all things have to come to an end sometime. And I hope you've enjoyed my series on presentism, and thanks for watching. Peace.